Ever pondered what the future might hold for our society? It's an intriguing question, isn't it? As humans, we've always had a profound fascination with the future. We yearn to understand what lies ahead, and this yearning has led us to make predictions and forecasts to create models of what the future might look like. One such prediction that has stood the test of time comes from the esteemed Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. In the early 70s, they put forward a rather unsettling proposition. They suggested that our industrial civilization could be on a trajectory towards collapse within the 21st century. That's right, a complete collapse of society as we know it. This prediction, made over half a century ago, is not just a doomsday prophecy. It's based on an analysis of our society's consumption patterns and the overexploitation of resources. And as we navigate through the complexities of the 21st century, this prediction's relevance seems to be growing. So are we on the brink of societal collapse? Let's delve into the details. Back in 1972, researchers at MIT made a startling prediction, an audacious forecast that shook the foundation of our understanding about the world we live in and the trajectory we're on as a species. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill prophecy. It was grounded in rigorous scientific study, and it was all about the limits to growth. But what exactly are these limits to growth? In essence, this concept revolves around the inherent constraints of our planet. It takes into account population growth, resource consumption, and industrial output, the three main pillars that drive our civilization. The researchers at MIT argued that these factors, if left unchecked, could lead to the downfall of industrial civilization within the 21st century. They suggested that our planet has a carrying capacity, a limit to how much life it can sustain. And as our population continues to grow, we consume more resources and produce more industrial output, pushing us ever closer to these limits. The researchers warned that if these trends continued, we could hit a point of no return, leading to a societal collapse. This wasn't a prediction of doom for the sake of doom, but a wake-up call. It was a warning that our current trajectory is unsustainable, that we can't keep growing indefinitely on a finite planet without severe consequences. It was a call to rethink our relationship with the planet, to reassess our priorities, and to reconfigure our systems to be more sustainable. Fast forward to today, and this prediction seems to be holding water. The signs are all around us, from the increasing scarcity of resources to the mounting environmental crises we face. It's clear that we're living in a world where the limits to growth are more relevant than ever. And if we don't heed this warning, the societal collapse that the researchers at MIT predicted may well become a reality. A recent study by a KPMG director seems to vindicate the MIT prediction. This study is not just a random hypothesis, but a comprehensive analysis that meticulously scrutinizes the MIT model against the backdrop of empirical data. The director, an expert in his field, sought to understand the gravity of the situation we're in. He took the MIT model, a theoretical construct from 1972, and juxtaposed it with real-world data, the tangible evidence of our current circumstances. And what he found was not just a correlation, but a startling confirmation of the MIT prediction. Through this methodology, the study gave credence to the MIT prediction's ominous warning. It suggested a halt in our economic growth within the next decade, a phenomenon that could bring about the collapse of industrial civilization as we know it by 2040. Now, the idea of economic growth coming to a standstill is not something we can easily digest. We live in a world where progress is measured in GDP, where success is quantified by financial gain. But this study suggests that our relentless pursuit of economic growth is leading us to a precipice, one from which we might not recover. The research doesn't merely predict a slowdown or a recession. It talks about a complete halt, a scenario where our economy doesn't just stumble and fall, but fails to get back up. And if this happens, it could trigger a domino effect, leading to the collapse of our society by 2040. This possibility is not something we can ignore or brush aside as an exaggeration. The study does not deal in hyperbole. It deals in data, in facts, in the bitter truth that we might be heading towards a future where our society as we know it could cease to exist. But even as it lays bare this grim scenario, the study doesn't leave us in despair. It does not propose a future set in stone, but one that can be changed. It emphasizes that the potential collapse is not an inevitable outcome, but a possibility if we continue on our current path. The study paints a grim picture, but it also highlights the need for change. It underscores the urgency of transitioning towards sustainable practices, of shifting our societal priorities towards regeneration and preservation. It serves as a stark reminder that the future is in our hands, that we have the power to alter our course and avert the impending collapse. The future may look bleak, but it's not set in stone. The study we're talking about doesn't stop at just sounding the alarm. It also provides us with a roadmap to avoid this gloomy future, emphasizing the need for societal changes. These aren't small tweaks, but rather significant transformations in how we live and operate as a society. Firstly, we need to transition towards sustainable practices within the next decade. Now, you might wonder, what does that mean? Well, it means we have to shift away from our current take, make, waste model, where we extract resources, produce goods, and discard waste without thought of the repercussions. Instead, we need to adopt a circular economy, where waste is minimized and resources are reused and recycled. This shift would involve changes at all levels of society, from industries adopting cleaner technologies, governments implementing eco-friendly policies, to each of us making greener lifestyle choices. It's about creating a world where economic development doesn't come at the expense of our environment. The study also introduces us to the concept of regenerative practices. This is not just about sustaining the environment, but actively improving it. It's about restoring, renewing, and revitalizing our own sources of energy and materials. Imagine forests that grow richer with each passing year, rivers that run cleaner, and air that gets purer. That's the kind of future regenerative practices can lead us to. But it's not just about the environment. Regenerative practices also mean creating societies that are more equitable and just. It's about ensuring that the benefits of our progress reach everyone, not just a privileged few. It's about creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. This is a lot to take in, I know. It might even feel overwhelming. But remember, we're in this together. Each of us has a role to play in this transition. It might be as simple as choosing to recycle, or as big as deciding to invest in renewable energy. Every step counts. Change is imperative, but what does this change look like? It looks like a world that is not just sustained, but regenerated. A world that is not just surviving, but thriving. A world that we can be proud to pass on to future generations. And that, my friends, is a future worth working for. The path to a sustainable future isn't straightforward, but it's one we must tread. As we venture into the uncharted territories of the future, we must consider the different scenarios presented by this study. Imagine a world where our society continues as is, with no changes to our habits or priorities. The study suggests that this could lead to a halt in economic growth within the next decade and a potential societal collapse by 2040. A grim prospect indeed. But let's not lose hope just yet. There's another scenario, one where we heed the warnings and make necessary changes. This scenario involves a shift in societal priorities. It's not about growing bigger and faster, but about growing smarter and more sustainable. It's about understanding that our resources are not infinite and that we must find a way to thrive without depleting them. So how do we make this shift? Well, the study suggests a few strategies. Firstly, we need to prioritize sustainability in our policies and practices. This means investing in renewable energy, promoting resource efficiency, and shifting away from a consumer-driven economy. Secondly, we need to focus on regenerative practices. This means not just taking from the earth, but giving back to it. It's about restoring our forests, cleaning our oceans, and nurturing our soil. It's about creating a balance between human activity and the natural world. And finally, we need to foster a sense of global responsibility. This is a challenge that affects us all, and it's one that we need to tackle together. It's about understanding that every action we take has an impact and that we all have a role to play in shaping our future. These solutions may seem daunting, but they are achievable. We've seen the power of human innovation and determination throughout history. We've overcome challenges, pushed boundaries, and forged new paths. This is just another challenge, another boundary to push, another path to forge. So, as we look towards the future, let's remember that it's not set in stone. We have the power to shape it, to change it, to make it better. We have the power to steer our society towards a sustainable, stable, and prosperous path. The future may be uncertain, but with the right changes, we can steer our society towards a stable and prosperous path.